حق التقوى وراقبه مراقبة من يعلم تعالى يسمع ويرى واعلموا أن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. We rejoice again today at this holy gathering. We seek refuge in Allah from the rejected enemy Satan. All praise is due to Allah as always in everything that we do. We must send praise to Allah who has put us here and allowed us to be present today. After praising Allah who is the creator of everything in the heavens and on earth, men and jinn, seen and unseen, we then send salutations and prayers and blessings upon his beloved prophet, messenger, and slave servant, and Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and upon his companions, his family, and all the prophets and messengers of Allah. May Allah be well pleased with them. Again, to be present on any Friday is a great honor for us as Muslims. There are many people who had intentions on being here, and for whatever reason, they're not here at this blessed gathering. Not only has Allah favored us in allowing us to be here today on a Friday, but a Friday in Ramadan, the blessed Ramadan. Ramadan is a mercy in itself. And if you ask many Muslims, what is Ramadan about? Many of them will say, mention the food and the hardship, how dry their mouths are from the long summer days. But Ramadan has very little to do with the actual food and drink. But that is what we feel. Ramadan is supposed to bring you closer to Allah. It is supposed to remind you of all the ease that you have in life. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. The hardship is the long days, but it comes in waves, and that is life. Nobody's in torment forever. Even a person that's in prison, either they're going to get out or they're going to pass away. And either way, they're free. So the mercy is always running towards you, whether you realize it or see it not. But the human being, it is said the human being is created with 4 enemies. Shaitan is the obvious, open enemy to us. He is our avowed enemy since our inception. Since the day Adam was made, he was created. He openly said that he was going to cause us to stray. So you have Shaitan. Then you have the nafs. And then the dunya and the desires. And alhamdulillah, through the mercy of Allah, Shaitan, he is locked up. But we're still going to talk about him because his work continues. His legacy lives. And many Muslims get comfortable in Ramadan because they say, hey, Shaitan is locked up. So we don't have anything to worry about. The Shaitan has done a lot of work to make sure that you still should worry about him. We still open this khutbah with A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan Rajim. Shaitan, when Adam was created, the angels, when Allah went to the angels and said, I'm going to create man, their response was, are you going to create a people who will create mischief in the land and shed blood for generations? And Allah gave them a simple, firm response, I know what you know not. And he left it at that. But we have to reflect, because Allah tells us to reflect. Within the miracle, which is the Quran, Allah has said many times, for those who think, for those who ponder, for those who reflect, for those who read. He's encouraging you to be among those people. So to read the Quran every day for 30 days is one thing, but to read for comprehension is another thing. To read for comprehension and application is a whole other level that we have to aspire to get to. So the angels were obedient. They knew nothing but submit and now they knew only to hear and obey. So we have to give them, look into why they questioned Allah. But it wasn't a challenging question. It was literally for information-seeking purposes, because they only knew what Allah told them. They only knew what Allah had enlightened them with. So keep that in mind. They knew the bad about mankind. They knew the nature of man, what he would be inclined to. They knew that the potential for man, because Allah allowed them to know that. But he did not tell them everything. That's why his response was, I know what you know not. So in their limited understanding, their concern, their information-seeking question was, enlighten us and explain to us why you feel like it's a good idea to create this people who shed blood and create mischief, when we do nothing but sing your praises night and day. The angels do nothing but worship Allah. So when he finally created Adam, and he took him before the angels, he said, tell them their names. The angels had a very humble response. And this is their repentance for even questioning Allah. They said, and I'm paraphrasing, they said of knowledge, they said glory to Allah first. They praised him, glory to Allah, glory to you. Of knowledge we have none except what you have taught us. And you are the master of knowledge. And I'm definitely paraphrasing. So they humbled themselves, they praised Allah, and they said, we have no idea the answer to this question because you have not given us the answer. And Allah immediately taught Adam their names. And this is why the man, Adam, is elevated above the angels. He said, Adam, tell them their names. And he told them their names. So when Allah created Adam, not until he breathed his spirit into him did he give them the command to prostrate. And they all prostrated because they're obedient. But not so Iblis. Shaitan, he would not prostrate. And Allah said, what is it that is stopping you from prostrating when I have given you the command to prostrate? And in his arrogance, he said, I am made from fire and he is made of mud. I am better than him. This is the origin of Shaitan. This is the reason he is our avowed enemy. We didn't do anything to Shaitan. Allah didn't wrong Shaitan. Shaitan literally wronged himself. Because Shaitan worshipped Allah. Shaitan acknowledges Allah. Even to this day, he's going to say, my Lord. We said, the angel said, our Lord, we know of knowledge we have none other than what you taught us. Shaitan had an arrogant response. So when Allah showed his displeasure with him and banished him, he said, my Lord. He didn't say, astaghfirullah. He didn't say, please forgive me. He only asked for respite. He never said, forgive me, because he's still arrogant. He never said, forgive me. He said, oh, my Lord, Ya Rab, give me respite until the day of judgment, the day of accounting. And Allah said, respite is granted to you. That's the major difference between the angels asking the same question, because they all had the same idea, because Allah had given them that knowledge, because the Shaitan only had the knowledge that Allah gave him too. So he only knew the small amount about man's potential mischief in the land. He did not see the other side, that Allah would make righteous people who sit before you today. That there would be people who would follow the guidance of the messengers, and they would sing the praises of Allah. They would carry themselves with a good character. But you have to remember, technically, the angels and Shaitan were both correct. Because you look at the news today, and there's much bloodshed. There's much mischief in the land. So their concern was real, because they know that they didn't shed blood. They didn't spread mischief. They only worshiped Allah. They only obeyed him in all his commands. Now the nafs, when Allah created the ruh, which is the spirit. When Allah created the spirit, Allah said, who am I? The spirit said, you are the Lord, and I am the humble servant. Immediate submission to the will of Allah. That's the ruh. That's our natural inclination. This is what Allah breathed into Adam. When he breathed to him his spirit, this is what he's talking about. But the nafs, when Allah created the nafs, he said, who am I? He said, you are you and I am I. So Allah put him in hell. Put him back in hell, came out. Who am I? You are you and I am I. So this happened several times. They said Allah sent him to the coldest part of the earth. Brought him back. He said, who am I? He said, you are you and I am I. Allah made him fast half a day. He said, who am I? You are the Lord and I am the humble servant. This is the nafs. This is what this whole month is about. The nafs, everybody's worried about Shaitan. Because Shaitan has put commercials out on he's gonna do all this bad. So you expecting him. You're looking for him. The nafs is dangerous. In my opinion, I stress that, it's more dangerous than Shaitan. Because the nafs is so hidden. The nafs is why you have to teach a child to share. It's not they want to keep everything for themselves. That's the nafs. I use the same example I said before. What sister said, she asked for a ride home from work, and the lady said, "I take you to the bus stop because if I take you home, you don't get home before me." That's the nafs. That's the nafs. You're thinking about yourself all the time. That's the nafs. One scholar said the only thing that stops a person from helping somebody else is thinking about themselves. That's the nafs. The nafs is not locked up in Shaitan in Ramadan. The nafs is free all the time. And we have to tame our nafs if we hope to have any success in Islam and any success in the hereafter. Nobody says, very few people says, A'udhu billahi min nafsi. Everybody says, A'udhu billahi min shaitan rajim. But do you ask Allah to protect you from yourself? Because I know what I'm capable of. I know what my anger does to me. And it's all nafs. So even in Ramadan, we have to remember that the nafs is still free. So we still should be very afraid. We should be afraid of ourselves. So everybody has enough. Everybody's born with this nafs. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's coming back from war. He said, now that we finished this jihad, now we have to go fight the big jihad. And the Sahaba said, he's mistaken. He's delirious. There's no way he's talking about what I think he's talking about. People lost their lives, people lost their arms, their limbs. He said, no, the jihad, the war of the nafs is way bigger. It's much bigger than the physical war. The physical war, you see your enemy in front of you. You know he's there. You can strategize. The nafs makes you forget they exist. The nafs is the reason you have to say prayer is better than sleep for fajr. Because the nafs wants to rest. So we have to be aware of the nafs, do our best to fight it. The nafs is needs entertainment. It's the things that we do for ourselves when no one is around that could be questionable that we should probably stop doing. The nafs wants us to be happy all the time, and the happy feeling that we have all the time. You know, you hear people talking about, I love being around that sister. She makes me feel so good. I love being around that brother. He makes me feel so good. The truth is, that individual never tells you the truth. And that individual constantly feeds your nafs. There's nothing wrong with giving a compliment. There's nothing wrong with telling somebody they're doing a good job. But if somebody always tells you you're the best, you're the greatest, be careful around this person. Because that person is constantly feeding the nafs. And the nafs wants that. It's a drug. And the nafs needs to be fair. You're the best, you're the best, you're the best. All the time. You're the greatest. Never correcting you. You can do 10 things wrong and they're going to say, it's okay. It's not okay. But the person who loves you. I use this example. My son was reciting Quran to my daughter, my oldest daughter. And if he gets more than a certain amount of mistakes, then I might have used this example before. But he made too many mistakes. And she said, I have to tell the truth. You made too many mistakes. You have to do this lesson again. And he said, you mean? You know him. He said, you mean? And I said, she told me the story. I said, you go back and tell him it's only because I love you. It's only because I love you. If I didn't love you, I'm going to tell you you're doing a great job. You can continue to mispronounce the whole Quran. And you go on and finish. You're going to say everything wrong. The love of somebody is going to tell them when they're wrong. But I was on the phone with one brother recently, one of my best friends. Alhamdulillah. And he said the problem is not correcting your brothers and sisters in our community. It's how we do it. There's no adab to it. So now you ruin the chance of ruining the relationship because you do it in such a harsh way, in such a judgmental way that the individual can't even receive the criticism. Even though it would be appropriate criticism, very good and accurate criticism, advice, we do it so harshly and with a judgmental connotation that they can't receive it. So we have to be careful doing that, because Allah, when He talks to us, Rasulullah, we know when He corrected people, He did it in a nice way. And another thing, that we're pushing people away from Islam when we do that. And it's a natural thing. Even the nafs the ego is a problem. You see somebody dressed inappropriately, and you automatically look down at them. And we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. As opposed to saying, Alhamdulillah, I'm not in that position. Allah has guided me to be on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, and I can still go help this person, give them advice in the right way. If it's my place to do so, it may be that you approach their mother or their father about the situation, it may not, or their husband, or their wife. It may not be your place to even address it. Because there's two sides to that coin. You create so much hostility that nobody ever gets any kind of sound advice because they're afraid of tearing the relationship or any resistance, or it's too much criticism in a harsh way where there is no relationship anymore. So we have to find a balance between the two. But the ego, the nafs, we have to be conscious of it in order to master it. Fear is a big part of Islam. It's a big part of how Allah communicates with us. It's a big part of how we are motivated, and it's necessary. A lot of people translate taqwa as fear of Allah. But taqwa is more of what that fear causes. What does that fear do for you? How does it change your behavior? And fear of Allah can make everybody in this room righteous. But we have to have an awareness of Allah's presence in order to do so. Say Allah is always with us. Yes, Allah is always, He's right here, right now. He's always with you. But the question is, are you with Him? That's the question you have to ask yourself. He's present right now, but are we with Him? When you leave here, are you going to be with Allah? Allah's going to be with you every step of the way. But are you with Him? Everybody wants to be the friend of Allah. But what does it take to be the friend of Allah? Are you willing to do the work? As Muslims, if you want to be my friend, you have to know me, right? You have to know me. You have to know my likes and my dislikes, my shortcomings, my strengths, in order to be my friend. Otherwise, you're going to hurt me. You got the best of intentions, and I use the food allergy a lot. I have shellfish allergy. I have those allergies, and you'll see anybody, when they have shrimp and things like that, you'll see the imam or somebody say, hey, I don't eat this. These are my friends. They know the risk of me eating shellfish. You got to know what Allah likes and what He dislikes in order to worship Him with the taqwa that's due to Him. That's the only way. You can have the best of intentions. You can walk in here right now and make 7 rakats saying, I want to worship Allah, I want all the barakah. But you don't know Allah. You got to study your religion in order to really practice Islam the way you want to. And may Allah forgive me if I offend anybody. That's not my intention. It's the same thing that I said. We have to address wrongs when we see them being wrong. You have to study Islam. The basics you should at least master. You cannot elevate yourself until you master this. You cannot go on to multiplication until you master addition and subtraction. So we have to master the basics of Islam, and then we can elevate ourselves. But too often we get complacent. And this month of Ramadan is the best time for you to push yourself, to learn more about your religion, to not only read Quran, take notes, study the book that Allah has sent to you, sent to us through His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's no way to get to Allah without Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there's no way to get to Rasulullah without the Quran. You have to study your religion. This month is not about food; it's about yourself. You cannot even tame yourself unless you know yourself. So you have to know your own shortcomings, your own strengths, your own weaknesses, what you're inclined to. Allah has told you the weaknesses that He knows He created you with. He said, don't be, a man and a woman should not be alone, because if they are, the third party is Shaitan. This is Allah. He's telling you exactly some of the weaknesses that you have and how to have the taqwa, the protection, the provisions to prevent yourself from falling into error. But what happens is, it's not only Shaitan is present, the nafs. Shaitan and the nafs work hand in hand. Shaitan is talking to the nafs all the time. You think before Ramadan he wasn't telling your nafs all the things he wants you to do? He was telling you exactly, I'm going to be locked up. But while I'm locked up, I need you to handle the rest of this nonsense. They don't even know you exist. They're not worried about you. They relax because they know I'm locked up. It's known. Worldwide, I do these 29 to 30 days every year. It's a part of my sentence. But then the nuts, they just go crazy. You see people arguing in Islam. I had one brother said the worst argument, he married 25 years, the worst conflict he ever had with his wife was in Ramadan. Because the ego is so big. Everybody's relaxed. Neither one of them want to back down. That's the nafs. Because the ruh, it's submitted immediately. The ruh wants to submit. The spirit of Allah was breathed into us. I stress our origin is Jannah. That's where we come from. That's what we're aspiring to get back to. This is what this month is about. Allah promised Adam on this day. Allah promised him the day that he was created, the day that he was banned to earth, rather, that if guidance come to you and your people, anybody who follows that guidance, I will elevate them right back up to where you are now. And I'm paraphrasing now. That's what he said. It wasn't a punishment the way people see it as a punishment. Like, he didn't send Adam to hell. He sent him to earth and said, I'm going to send you a book. I'm going to send you messengers and messengers and messengers and messengers. And Allah kept doing it. Until finally he sent us Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the book, the miracle of the Quran. But we have to take heed. Allah said, those who follow the book, they go right back to their origin, which is paradise. Right back to Allah. So many Muslims have enough sense to not do foolish things in Ramadan. They understand that they shouldn't watch nonsense on television. They shouldn't spend time in places that Allah will not approve of. They should not listen to certain things. They should speak nicely to each other. They should spend more time at the masjid. But I said this before, I think the last 2 Ramadans, and I want to stress it again. What is the benefit of going through a 30-day rehab to become a better person and getting out, and within 5 days you're right back on whatever addiction you have? Because entertainment is an addiction for the nafs. We have to watch television. Actually, you have to watch certain shows. It's going to hurt you physically. You're going to feel some kind of way. It's going to be a real withdrawal. So everybody's DVRs are full, at least for the last week, of every show that they don't want to miss. Many people deleted all the nonsense, Facebook app, all these social media apps, they've been deleted from their phones. They'll take a fast from Facebook and all these things. And they're committed to doing it. They'll do a good job the whole Ramadan. But I stress, within 5 days of Ramadan over, they've caught up on every foolish thing that they were not supposed to be doing in Ramadan. They already got it back. They've gone through the whole month's worth of feeds on the social media apps. They've watched a whole month's worth of shows. And you just reprogramming your brain. You ask yourself, what's the first thing that Allah, first part of the body that Allah breathed His Spirit into? When He breathed His Spirit into Adam, our Father, it was the eyes, the gateway to the soul. And we just sit there and we have all this screen time and we're entertained for hours and hours and hours, and we're taking in nonsense through this gateway, and it's touching our soul. It's affecting our soul, our spirit, and the nafs is happy. The ego is happy. Because if you really look at it, there is no benefit to entertainment. And I'm not saying that you should never watch TV, but you have to be mindful of what you watch. There's no real benefit. At the end of the day, we were created for one reason, that's to worship Allah. It's to remember Allah in all of our actions. That is the highest maqam, where everything that you do, everything that you do is in the name of Allah. Whether it's you say it out your mouth or it's just your intention inwardly. To remember Allah in everything that you do. The fast is for Allah. The same way your prostration is for Allah. The same way you go to work is for Allah. The same way you teach your children the Quran is for Allah. The same way you help somebody cross the street. Everything that you do is for Allah. Is the entertainment for Allah? Can anybody in this room actually say that they're watching television or looking at the news feed on some social media app that they are actually worshiping in their home, or they have an awareness to Allah? And I'm not against all social media. I'm not. There's some avenues and benefits to having these accounts. There is some benefit. But the majority of people that use it, it's just entertainment. Get on the bus, go to the airport. Just go wherever you go. Very few people have books in front of them nowadays. And they're not reading on their phones. They're not. And we have to be different. We have to stand out. The nafs wants you to blend in. The nafs is the one who makes you feel awkward when you walk in the room. You're the only one covered. The ruh feels good. The spirit says, I'm the only obedient person in this room. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The nafs is feeling awkward about it. But this Ramadan, we want to make it our best Ramadan. You have to do something different though. You can't take stuff. You late to work every day, you leave at the same time, you take the same route, and you're trying to figure out why you're late every day. Change your route, leave a little earlier. Do something different this Ramadan. It's still early. We haven't even ended the second 10 days yet. Do something different this Ramadan to make this your best Ramadan. Read Quran more. Read Quran with your children. Read Quran with your wife. Read Quran with your husband. Do something different this Ramadan that elevates your nearness to Allah. Because like I said, Allah is with you. But you have to take steps towards Him. I've said this before, Allah. You walk to Him, He will run to you. And we should all be taking steps towards Allah. Every ayah that you read for certainty, Allah, you are with Allah in that moment. One of the things that gets overlooked a lot in Islam is the company that you keep. Now, if you're fast and you hang around a bunch of non-Muslims, it can be beneficial for them, but it can be dangerous for you. And for myself, one of the ways that I've gotten to being having an awareness about Allah and Islam is spending time with people who have a higher awareness than me. And I stress that it's an easy, free way to get close to Allah. If I'm in a car with you, I was in a car with a brother not too long ago, and I learned so much on a 20-minute ride. I don't think I offered him anything as far as his benefit from my presence, but I learned so much from being around him. And these are the type of people that you have to be around and encourage your children to be around. Having an awareness of the impact that people have on you. You can't go into a lion's den and come out unscathed. So one of two things is going to happen, and I've said it 10 times, and I'll probably say it another 100. Either they're going to influence you or you're going to influence them. So in this month, remember the company that you keep matters. How you spend your time, it matters. Ramadan is not about long naps. That's a common thing that Muslims do, is they sleep a lot during Ramadan because there's no lunch. And they're tired, and I get it. But do some worship in that moment. The nafs wants you to sleep. Worship Allah in those extra moments when you're not spending time eating or looking for food. Remember Allah, make zikr, call a loved one. These are ways to get close to Allah. Visit the sick. People that are not fasting for legitimate reasons, the men and the women. You can still do worship. You can bring food here to the masjid for the fasting people. You can feed the homeless that are not Muslim who are not fasting. But it's important to have the Ramadan spirit, the spirit of this blessed month in all of your actions. It's not enough to just abstain from drinking water and intercourse and say that I'm practicing Islam. Ramadan is about the Quran. It's about nearness to Allah and awareness and taming the nafs. It said, half a day when the nafs were created, He said, you are the Lord and I'm the humble servant. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. الحمد لله الذي أمرنا بتقوى وابتغاء الوسيلة وحدنا على طلب الدرجة الرفيعة اللي هو الفضيلة. أمرنا أمرا بدأ به بنفسه وثنى بملائكة قدسه وثلث بالمؤمنين من جنه وعنسه قال تصريفا لنبيه وتكريما إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. صلى الله عليه وسلم. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the only act of worship that Allah has said that He and His angels are doing is sending salutations and prayers upon our beloved Prophet, and He has instructed us to do the same. This is a topic that should be talked about more, and we should remind each other of the importance of praying for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Without him, we have no guidance. Allah does not make mistakes. I mentioned earlier that fear is a strong reminder, it's a strong tool to motivate people to do good. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his last sermon talked about important things. And the fact that he mentioned it as his last talk publicly, we know that they're important. The concept is not foreign to us. When I leave friends and loved ones that I know I'm not going to see for a while, I'm conscious of my last words to them. If it's my children, then I'm trying to put reminders on their brain and in their heart to be good and do certain things or stop doing certain things. The last ayat that Allah sent in the Quran talks about fear. Allah says, fear the day when you return to Allah, and Allah will repay everyone according to their deeds, and He will never deal with anyone unjustly. And we are not afraid enough. You know this, you wake up every day. However old you are, how many days it is, you've had success every day waking up. And we kind of forget that the hour is still coming towards us right now. The hour of death is on its way. It's closer than it was 1 second ago. And we have to have this awareness of death. Sending salutations upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is an excellent way to get into Allah. Outside of Ramadan, but especially in Ramadan, you should busy yourself with sending salutations upon him. Allah has said, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you send one salutation upon me, then Allah will send 10 upon you. And if you send 10 upon me, Allah will send 100 upon you. And if you send 100 upon me, Allah will send 1,000 upon you. And if you send 1,000 salutations upon me, then we will enter Jannah shoulder to shoulder. May Allah make us among them. We visit the cemetery the last Sunday of every month to visit our loved ones and to pray for them. This Sunday is the last Sunday. We will be here leaving at 11:30, inshallah. We're going to visit the people that have preceded us at death. Remember them. If you can attend the cemetery, remember them. Pray for them in this month. It is important. It's something we all need. Without the people left behind praying for us, then there are very few things that will help us in the next life. I have a lot of stuff here about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, he's our everything, and we have to know that there's no way to Allah without him. If you think you're going to get to Allah without Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you're fooling yourself. But we have to study him more. We have to give him his just due. We don't as Muslims. We don't remember him enough. Some of us, we only pray for him in the salah. It's not enough. It's like an ungrateful child. Allah give you everything. If it's sure he loves us more than we love him. All he wants for us is to have Jannah. That's all he wants is us to be forgiven. That's it. Everybody who he was sent to, which is everybody. We have to remember, we have to give him his just due. You know, it's a disheartening thing when we don't give him his due. And there's many hadiths written about the curses that will be on a person who, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioned, they don't send salutations upon him. But it's not enough just to send salutations upon him. We have to emulate him. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, none of you will be considered believers until your desire is following what I brought. And what he brought was Quran and Sunnah. Now, all of us want to be believers. But this goes back to what I said earlier. We're not figuring out how to be believers, how to be considered friends of Allah, how to be considered followers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're content making the 5 salats potentially correctly or incorrectly. We have to study our religion. If we want to be considered believers, it's many hadiths that start like that. None of you will be considered Muslims. None of you will be considered believers. None of you truly believe unless you do these things. This is not an accident. This is the messenger of Allah. He never uttered a word without the permission of Allah. So if he starts a sentence, none of you will be considered a believer, it's no different than Allah saying it. This is in the Quran. He said, following Rasulullah is like following Allah. He's not going to tell you anything bad. That's why the people that were prostrate on him when the Qibla changed, they got guaranteed because they heard, they obeyed, they don't question nothing. And we have all these books, all these imams, all these sheikhs, all these scholars who can tell you the way to be with Rasulullah. They say, oh, I want to be with Allah. How are you with Rasulullah? You with Allah? You think he's not going to be with Allah? This is his beloved. The only thing he put was La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. To the point where the angel said, who is this name that you put with yours in the heavens? Who is this? They never seen this before. Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Increase your love for him. If you love him, you're going to be safe. That's who you're going to be with on the day of judgment. You love your wife, you love your children, but you forget to love Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have nothing without him. I stress that we have nothing. We're monsters without him. We're average people without him. Because he is the vehicle that Allah chose to show us the way. He is the guide. Yes, we know Allah, the Quran is the guide. Rasulullah is the Quran. There's nothing he did that was wrong in Islam. Everything he did was correct. Now, we're not saying that you can be him. You're not a messenger. You're not a prophet. But you have to have that desire. That's the first start to changing anything in your life. If you want to be a better husband, have the desire to be a better husband. Before you can take a step towards anything, you have to have intentions and desire. The people that are here today had intentions and desire to be here, and they made a way. It's the same thing with loving Rasulullah. Find a way to love him. Because it's a dangerous thing on the day of judgment when the hour comes and we will take account and your heart is not attached to his. It's just like I said about Allah. He is with you, but are you with him? Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamin innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin abdika wa rasulika nabiyil ummi. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin al-Fatih lima ughliq وخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وآل آله حق قدره ومقدار العظيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا واخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا واغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولأشياخنا ولمن سبقنا بالإيمان وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم ارفعنا على الجهد والجوع والعري واكشف أنامنا بالله ما لا يكشف الغيب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. رب اجعلنا مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتنا ربنا وتقبل دعائي. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والسماء والطارق وما أدريك ما الطارق النجم ثاقب إن كل نفس إنما عليها حافظ فلينظر الإنسان مما خلق من ماء دافق يخرج من بين الصلب والترائب إنه على رجه لقادر يوم تبلى السرائر فما له من قوة ولا ناصر والسماء ذات الرجع والأرض ذات الصدع إنه لقول فصل وما هو بالحزن إنهم يكيدون كيدا وأكيد كيدا فمهل الكافرين أمهلهم رويدا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلى ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسر فذكر إن نفعت الذكر سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى نار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيى قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي صحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak. I give the announcements for today. As Imam said, Sunday at 11:30, he will be leaving here, going which cemetery? Lovejoy? Oh, Salam Gardens, which is on Jonesboro Road. So if anyone wants to join him, please do so. You know, there are blessings in us visiting our deceased ones. I think we want someone to do that for us, so we should all get in the habit of doing it. Also on Sunday, the Wellness Committee will be doing the Talim. It's on the title of this particular Talim will be on healthy mind, body, and spirit during Ramadan and beyond, physical and mental health, what constitutes a healthy meal, and light physical movements. Project Smile classes are held here at the masjid every Sunday from 11:30 to 3:30. Are there any classes during Ramadan? Does anyone know if we're having classes for the children on Sunday during Ramadan? Okay. Some of you may have gotten my email yesterday. The dates are finally here. For some reason, this was a struggle this year. We ordered the dates and time for them to be here at least a week before Ramadan started, and they got here. UPS lost a pallet of dates, and it took them a week to let us know they couldn't find them. Then we had to call the supplier who's in California, and they had to do what they had to do. And then about 3 or 4 days later, he was able to ship out another pallet. So we finally got them yesterday. So they're there. I think you'll enjoy these particular dates this time. A case is $55. You have $10 for the 32 ounce and $5 for the 16 ounce. Save the date, June 23rd, Master Wood Malone is presenting a Pioneer Appreciation Celebration at the Helene S. Mills Event Center. This is an event to honor our pioneers. We need everyone's support to make this special occasion a success. Pick up a flyer and application in the lobby today. Seating is limited, so get your tickets early. Make it a habit to support Muslim businesses and vendors and make community life a reality. And brothers and sisters, I just have one comment that I would like to make. Last Friday, my wife and I were in Washington, D.C. to witness our son, Imam KMuhammad, walk across the stage at Georgetown University with his master's degree, which was on Islamic Christian relationships, particularly as it relates to the relationship between the indigenous community in America, Imam Muhammad, and the folklore movement. And it's interesting because, Georgetown is a very prestigious university, and they fought him because they didn't know who Imam Muhammad was. So he had to vet Imam Muhammad to Georgetown before they would allow him to do his thesis. And even when they saw his work, they
الرحمن الرحيم.
they still challenged him.
الحمد لله.
So he would have graduated last year, but they challenged him. So he had to wait a year to graduate. But I'm saying this to let you all know, one of the things that the Imam put on our young adults was to make his life what it should be because of what they did for him. And my son is among others, second generation, the next generation, who have taken it upon themselves to be scholars for our community in America. And we should support every effort for all of our children as they pursue higher education that in the long run will benefit our community. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, I'll be out there. Okay. I gotta, you gotta go wait right now. Had a talk show this morning about how I'm not really, I had built a platform for communities to build communities. And now they can come in, use technology, use our machinery, use our principles, train them, and teach them how to do it, give them the land for their own work. We have a lab here, yes, and then an hour and a half or so we have 205 acres, which we started. So it's a nice place, like 5 miles. It's a good space. So we started breaking down already. So we have like 4 crews of 5. Right there. It's no, sir. It's east. Oh, sorry. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, Nika, yeah, that's what we have the land. That's the 2 acre homestead we have in the city.
Hancock, so we have a lot of space.
My grandson plays my grandson's soccer, so there's a huge soccer field. And it was like 12 different soccer fields.
Was that another show? Because actually we're building a soccer field there now for that reason, because there's no, there's not much room to
Hancock, Georgia. Oh,
we're in this little port town where once we finish building the houses, we'll have the majority vote towards the pension and then we seat down. So oh yeah, that's the time.
We'll make a change. We gotta participate. Part of the voting process.
Yeah, I want to take it over. I'm not cool with participating. I don't like it. I like being a whisper in the wind. I want to dominate. I want to scream like a lion in the hallway. You going down this month? You want to come down and meet me at the lab, and then you put me in the hospital after 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
What time? Everybody get that little
You're the one that's furthest out.
Okay, do that. I got some number.
Okay, beautiful. So you gave do that. No.
I'll get over to you and then let go from you.
I'm south. I'm not.
Which one?
Not here in Atlanta. That's all I've done.
So different Cox Media. I work for Cox Media.
Okay, I work for First Last venture, I work for a young brother that just purchased 3 properties of his name is Gloria. I finally said, Gloria, I'm done. Let me go ahead and I'm moving out of Houston. When I was in Houston, I was working with Happy News and Radio 1. I'm done with what I do.
Yeah, no, that's what I do to find out manage all the processes that we have for building all the new tech for all the radio stations, television stations.
Yes.
My favorite experience. She's selling them like crazy. The lady used to go, she's selling them like crazy. But she newspaper radio, the radio and TV.
I'm very
we're in that. I've been to a couple of them. Been operating a couple of months like in New York and in West Palm and in Austin, Ohio. Spent some time in the markets there. But they got now they're doing some consolidated markets because they're trying to put the TV, radio, and newspaper in one building and force it all to act like
Cox had still has a management and training program that they call CSI, which is the standard that everybody at least uses as a foundation for their sales. It's a sales management program. Matter of fact, you have to go to school and Cox. Really, and usually what happens is you wait for time to pick somebody from the Cox and get them to come over and work with you and get them to get in.
That's funny, because I mean, like, I just did we did the implementation. We gutted all these old cells and they had software. We built a whole thing. We put in brand new software that runs all the cells and ads. And because what they wanted to do is get to the point where they could say, I have a salesperson out there. They're selling a newspaper today, or they're selling radio today, they're selling TV, and then they have to call another person to say, okay, you want a radio ad, let me get you that. So they wanted to change their sales force. They did it already, where they're selling digital newspaper, radio, one shot. And so that we had to build the software out to make it happen, so they could see those pieces and make the bundles and put it in and stuff like that. So that was a hellish process. We were up in we did it market by market, like big market by big market, and they were literally in the first market in Atlanta. Like in Atlanta, we did it first. there were people in the room crying. Like literally crying. They were crying because of having to change. Yes, they were crying.
Yes, sir.
I had one lady go off on me, and I said, she went off. You know, she was a general manager of the project, and she was responsible. So she said it to me about software because, you know, we had a big data integration portion we were doing. I was just looking at her like I let it go, but then I stepped back and I went to HR and I told her, because normally I would just curse you out, but I went to HR. I said, I'm gonna play like a white guy. I said, I went to HR. I said, listen, there is a way to discriminate against me because I'm black. There's not that many of you in this space, so I feel like I'm being discriminated because, and here's how I spun it, which is the craziest thing. Even me, I'm laughing when I walked away. This idea that I am naturally aggressive because I am big and black, and therefore you can be aggressive with me, is something I want to stop. Yes. Oh, really bad. Actually, it got all the white women in straight. They stopped approaching me that way after that.
It is rough. You have to understand when you've been doing one way for many, many years. All of a sudden, I'm sorry, but to remain relevant and be progressive, we have to do things differently. And I mean, what's changed is just not the trafficking system. I mean, it's